Every single day, more than 2 billion people around the world reheat leftovers without a second thought. The common belief is simple: if it's hot enough, it's safe enough, but that assumption is quietly costing lives. Let me give you a statistic worth holding on to: 1 in 6. That's the share of all global cancer cases now linked by researchers to dietary patterns, including how we store, reheat, and consume food. According to findings published in a cancer journal for clinicians, poor diet ranks as the second leading modifiable risk factor for cancer worldwide, surpassed only by tobacco use. And yet, almost no one is discussing what really happens to certain foods at a molecular level when they're heated for a second time, whether in the microwave or on the stovetop. The chemical changes are invisible. You can't taste them, smell them, or see them, but they are taking place inside your meal and eventually inside your body. For over 15 years, I've studied nutritional biochemistry and its intersection with cancer prevention. In this video, I'll walk you through 4 common leftovers, foods likely sitting in your fridge right now, that undergo scientifically verified chemical transformations when reheated. Transformations that carry a measurable cancer risk. I encourage you to stay with me until the very end, because the 4th item on this list is one that many health-conscious individuals consider completely harmless. That belief, however, is dangerously mistaken. Before we go further, let me make one thing clear. This isn't about mild discomfort or a brief bout of food poisoning. We're talking about the slow, silent accumulation of carcinogens in your body over months and years. The kind of damage that often goes unnoticed until it becomes incredibly difficult to reverse. Cancer rarely appears overnight. It's a gradual process, a steady progression, and many of the building blocks involved free radicals, advanced glycation end products, nitrosamines, and lipid peroxidation byproducts don't enter your system through smokestacks or exhaust pipes. They come from your own kitchen. The World Health Organization has classified several compounds produced during reheating as Group 1 or Group 2A carcinogens. Group 1 means there's conclusive evidence that a substance causes cancer in humans. Group 2A means it's probably carcinogenic. These aren't hypothetical risks. They are documented chemical reactions happening on your stovetop or inside your microwave every time certain foods are reheated improperly. And here's what should concern you most. Those at highest risk aren't people with unusual eating habits. They're ordinary individuals who genuinely believe they're making healthy choices. Lean proteins, cooked vegetables, rice, and eggs. These are the 4 food categories we're about to examine. After watching this video, your leftovers will never look the same again. Now, before we dive in, let me briefly explain why I'm qualified to speak on this subject, not to impress you, but because in a world flooded with health misinformation, you deserve to know who's giving you advice and why it can be trusted. I completed my medical training in internal medicine, followed by advanced fellowship work in nutritional biochemistry. Over the last 15 years, my research has centered specifically on how cooking methods, heat exposure, storage, and reheating alter the molecular structure of food, and how those changes generate byproducts that interact with human DNA and cellular function. For this presentation, I've reviewed hundreds of peer-reviewed studies. Every claim I make is grounded in published research from reputable journals, including Food Chemistry, the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, Carcinogenesis, and the Lancet Oncology. I'll break down the science in clear, accessible language because the research is real, the evidence is strong, and you deserve to understand it. I'm not here to sell you a supplement or pitch a course. I'm here because preventive medicine starts with awareness, and the information I'm about to share could genuinely protect you and your family. Before we get to the specific foods, I need to give you a brief but essential primer on food chemistry. Please don't skip this part. It's the foundation for everything that follows. Become chemically unstable. When reheated, these already damaged molecules break down further into compounds like lipid peroxides and malondialdehyde, both of which are well-documented agents that can damage DNA. Second, the Maillard reaction gone wrong. The Maillard reaction is what gives cooked food its rich flavor and appetizing golden brown color. But when proteins and sugars are subjected to high temperatures repeatedly, they can generate compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These substances fuel chronic inflammation, one of the primary biological drivers of cancer development. Third, nitrite conversion. Certain foods, especially those naturally high in nitrates, undergo bacterial conversion while sitting in your refrigerator. When reheated, those nitrates turn into nitrites, which can then transform further into nitrosamines, compounds the World Health Organization classifies as probable or confirmed carcinogens. So let's summarize the 3 core mechanisms: oxidation, advanced glycation, and nitrosamine formation. Keep these in mind as we go through each food, because every example we discuss will involve at least one, and often more, of these dangerous processes. Food, #1, Cooked rice. Rice is the most widely consumed staple food on the planet. More than 3 billion people depend on it as their primary calorie source, and billions of them reheat leftover rice daily. It's a deeply ingrained habit across nearly every culture, but there's a serious problem with this practice, and surprisingly, it has less to do with the reheating itself and more with what happens between the first cook and the second. As cooked rice cools, it becomes an almost perfect breeding ground for a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This isn't some rare contaminant, it's naturally present in raw rice, survives the initial cooking, and can multiply rapidly if the rice is left at room temperature or stored too long in the fridge. When you reheat the rice, the heat may kill the bacteria, but it does not destroy the heat-resistant toxins they've already produced. Those toxins survive the microwave, survive the stovetop, and enter your digestive system fully intact. But while bacterial illness is a real concern, it's not the primary cancer risk here. The real issue is this. Bacillus cereus produces a toxin called cereulide, which laboratory studies have shown can damage the mitochondria inside human cells. Mitochondrial dysfunction is recognized as one of the early biological events that can contribute to malignant transformation, the process by which a healthy cell gradually becomes cancerous. There's also another less discussed concern. Repeated heating of starchy foods increases the formation of acrylamide, a chemical produced when natural sugars react with the amino acid asparagine under high heat. The International Agency for Research on Cancer interviewed youth who frequently consumed well-done or reheated poultry had a statistically significant increase in colorectal cancer risk. A separate analysis from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health linked frequent consumption of reheated processed chicken to an increased risk of pancreatic cancer, one of the deadliest forms, with a 5-year survival rate of just 11%. If you find this type of evidence-based practical health information valuable, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I publish one new video every week, and each one follows the same approach you're seeing here. Peer-reviewed scientific research translated into actionable insights you can actually use. No hype, no supplements, no hidden agenda, just the science and what it means for your health. Food. #3. Spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens. Spinach is arguably one of the most celebrated vegetables in the world of healthy eating. It's packed with iron, folate, magnesium, and powerful antioxidants. Nutritionists, oncologists, and cardiologists consistently recommend eating more spinach, and they are absolutely right when it's eaten fresh or cooked once and consumed immediately. The problem begins when spinach is stored and then reheated. Spinach, along with celery, beets, lettuce, and Swiss chard, is among the richest dietary sources of naturally occurring nitrates. In their natural form, these nitrates are beneficial. They support cardiovascular health and help regulate blood pressures. However, once cooked spinach is refrigerated, naturally occurring bacteria on the surface of the leaves begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. This is the same chemical conversion that occurs in cured meats, and one of the reasons the World Health Organization classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen in 2015. When spinach that has been refrigerated for 24 hours or longer is reheated, you are applying heat to a vegetable that has already undergone substantial nitrate to nitrite conversion. Under heat, those nitrites can react with amino acids both in the spinach and later in your stomach to produce nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are among the most potent dietary carcinogens identified by modern science. Animal studies have shown they can induce cancer at remarkably low doses. Epidemiological research consistently links high nitrosamine exposure to an increased risk of gastric, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. This is not a hypothetical concern invented for this video. The European Food Safety Authority has issued formal guidance regarding dietary exposure to nitrates and nitrites from vegetables, specifically warning about the risks associated with reheating nitrate-rich vegetables after they've been stored following cooking. The irony is devastating. One of the healthiest foods on earth can become a source of carcinogenic compounds simply because of a storage and reheating habit practiced every week by millions of health-conscious people. So what should you do instead? Cook spinach and other leafy greens fresh whenever possible. Eat them immediately after. If you have leftovers, consume them cold within a few hours. Do not refrigerate cooked spinach with the intention of reheating it later. If you absolutely must store it, keep it in an airtight container, consume it within 6 hours, and do not reheat it. Eat it cold instead. #4. Eggs. I told you the fourth food would surprise you. Here it is, eggs. Eggs are among the most nutritionally complete foods available. They contain all 9 essential amino acids. They're an excellent source of choline, which supports brain function. They provide significant amounts of selenium, a mineral involved in antioxidant defense, and they contain lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 antioxidants that protect both eye health and cellular health. By almost every nutritional standard, eggs are one of the healthiest foods you can eat. However, reheating eggs, especially scrambled or hard-boiled eggs, creates a specific and often overlooked chemical problem that very few people discuss. Eggs contain approximately 13% fat, with most of it concentrated in the yolk. When an egg is cooked for the first time, the fats in the yolk undergo an initial stage of oxidation, a normal and expected process. But when a cooked egg is refrigerated and then reheated at a high temperature, those already oxidized fats undergo secondary lipid oxidation at a much faster rate. The byproducts produced during this process, particularly malondialdehyde and oxysterols, are now well documented in the scientific literature. Oxysterols in particular have attracted considerable scientific attention over the past decade. These are oxidized forms of cholesterol that develop specifically when cholesterol-containing foods are repeatedly heated. A comprehensive review published in the journal Food and Chemical Toxicology concluded that oxysterols possess pro-atherogenic, pro-inflammatory, and most importantly, cytotoxic and genotoxic effects on human cells. Genotoxic, that word is extremely important. It means toxic to the genetic material inside your cells, your DNA. By definition, genotoxic compounds are considered potential carcinogens because they can produce DNA strand breaks and genetic mutations that initiate the chain of events leading to cancer. There is another concern associated with reheated eggs. When cooked egg proteins are exposed to excessive heat for a second time, especially during rapid microwave reheating, they undergo additional protein denaturation. These proteins form abnormal crosslinks that make them more difficult for your digestive system to break down, potentially leading to digestive discomfort and reduced nutrient absorption. Even more importantly, some research suggests that the sulfur-containing amino acids naturally present in eggs, cysteine and methionine, can degrade during repeated heating. The breakdown products formed from these amino acids may contribute to oxidative stress within the lining of the digestive tract, and oxidative stress affecting the intestinal lining is no minor issue. Persistent oxidative stress in the gastrointestinal mucosa is considered one of the major proposed mechanisms involved in the development of colorectal cancer, the third most common cancer worldwide, responsible for nearly 1 million deaths every year. So what should you do instead, Saj? There are children eating reheated rice, spinach, and eggs in their school lunches 5 days a week. There are older adults with weakened immune systems reheating leftover chicken in the microwave simply because they live alone and it's convenient. There are fitness enthusiasts eating reheated high-protein meal prep containers every day, convinced they are maximizing their health, completely unaware that the chemical composition of their food has changed significantly since it was originally prepared. None of these people are doing anything wrong. They simply do not know. Now you do. That is the purpose of this channel. That is the purpose of this video, not to make you afraid of food, but to provide you with practical, evidence-based knowledge that allows you to make smarter, healthier decisions to help close the gap between what modern science has already discovered and what the general public actually knows. Let's bring it all together. 4 foods, 4 different biological mechanisms. One clear conclusion: food matters, food. #1, rice. Reheating cooked rice can reactivate heat-stable bacterial toxins produced by Bacillus cereus and also promote the formation of acrylamide through the reaction of natural sugars with amino acids during repeated heating. Mechanism: bacterial toxin activity and acrylamide formation. Potential cancer connection: mitochondrial dysfunction and exposure to a group 2A. Probable carcinogen. Food #3, chicken. Reheating cooked chicken at high temperatures promotes the formation of heterocyclic amines through protein oxidation, while also increasing lipid oxidation byproducts such as malondialdehyde and 4-hydroxynonal. Head and increase mechanism: protein oxidation and lipid oxidation, potential cancer connection, direct DNA interaction by HCAs, and an increased risk of colorectal and pancreatic cancers. Food #3, spinach and other leafy greens. During refrigeration, bacterial activity converts naturally occurring nitrates into nitrites. When these vegetables are reheated, the nitrites can react to form nitrosamines. Mechanism: nitrate, nitrite, nitrosamine conversion. Potential cancer connection: increased exposure to nitrosamines, which has been associated with gastric, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. Food #4, eggs. Repeated heating of egg yolks, which contain both cholesterol and fat, promotes the formation of oxysterols, oxidized cholesterol derivatives with documented genotoxic activity, as well as secondary lipid oxidation products. Mechanism: cholesterol oxidation and secondary lipid oxidation. Potential cancer connection: DNA damage, oxidative stress affecting the intestinal lining, and an increased risk of colorectal cancer. 3 fondamentals adipical mechanisms appear repeatedly across 4 of the most commonly reheated foods in the world. Nitrosamine formation, lipid and protein oxidation, activation of bacterial toxins. This is not fear-mongering. It is food biochemistry that has been repeatedly, consistently, and rigorously investigated in the scientific literature. What I want you to do with this information, here are practical, straightforward steps that require no special equipment, no supplements, and no drastic lifestyle changes, just small informed decisions that can substantially reduce your long-term exposure to potentially harmful dietary compounds. For rice, cook fresh whenever possible. If you store it, cool it within 1 hour, refrigerate immediately, consume within 24 hours, and never reheat it more than once. For chicken, whenever possible, eat leftover cooked chicken cold in salads, sandwiches, or wraps. If reheating is absolutely necessary, use the lowest effective temperature and avoid overheating beyond the recommended safe internal temperature. Gentle reheating is always preferable to rapid high heat methods. Mechanism: nitrate, nitrite, nitrosamine conversion. Potential cancer connection: increased exposure to nitrosamines, which has been associated with gastric, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. Food #4. Eggs. Repeated heating of egg yolks, which contain both cholesterol and fat, promotes the formation of oxysterols, oxidized cholesterol derivatives with documented genotoxic activity, as well as secondary lipid oxidation products. Mechanism: safer, traumatic is safer, and it could be created in secret, and bringing further creating particular. And to bring health, and they did house to bring. That person hip for a hand, we hit a stand up. Avoid reheating any food more than once. One cooking, one reheating maximum. After that, discard the leftovers. Whenever possible, use a low temperature oven instead of a microwave when reheating protein rich foods. Microwave ovens can create uneven, localized hotspots that may accelerate oxidation reactions and compound formation. Plan your meal portions carefully so that you produce fewer leftovers in the first place. That is the single most effective behavioral change you can make. A question for you. Before I finish, I want to ask you something. I genuinely want to hear your answer. Which of these 4 foods surprised you the most? Was it rice, the food almost everyone reheats without giving it a second thought? Was it chicken, the protein that millions of people preparing healthy meals consider the gold standard? Was it spinach, the vegetable that virtually every health expert encourages you to eat more often? Or was it eggs? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's a specific food you'd like me to investigate in a future video, something you eat regularly or frequently reheat, leave that in the comments as well. I read every single comment. Your questions help shape the research and future content on this channel. Before we finish, there is one final message I want to leave you with. Think about someone in your life who reheats leftovers without giving it much thought. Perhaps it's a parent, a sibling, a college student living on meal prep chicken and rice, a spouse who has been reheating leftover spinach throughout the week, or someone who microwaves scrambled eggs every morning because they prepared a large batch on Sunday. They don't know what you know now, and you can change that in less than 10 seconds simply by sharing this video with them. Not to frighten them, not to lecture them, simply to give them the same information you now have, because they deserve the opportunity to make informed decisions about their health just as much as you do. The research is real, the potential risks are real, and the solutions are remarkably simple. Flick is ace of here. Think about someone in your life who reheats leftovers without giving it much thought. Perhaps it's a parent, a sibling, a college student living on meal prep chicken and rice, a spouse who has been reheating leftover spinach throughout the week, or someone who microwaves scrambled eggs every morning because they prepared a large batch on Sunday. They don't know what you know now, and you can change that in less than 10 seconds and simply by sharing this video with them. Not to frighten them, not to lecture them, simply to give them the same information you now have, because they deserve the opportunity to make informed decisions about their health just as much as you do. The research is real, the potential risks are real, and the solutions are remarkably simple. It's something for the thank you. You know when jury wonder be. But for the I'll for the poor to say the post jury for a punner. Nor then he found approaches such keep other research taken to be enough for about break out of also.